Hello YouTube, Region Rider here. Hope today finds you all in a good mood, and still the weekend, so I hope you have some festivities planned, something fun other than doing housework or sitting around watching TV. Although I gotta be honest, I kind of like sitting around watching TV. This is lovely northern, or well, I guess it's the northern third of Indiana. We're not too far from Purdue. In the last video, I decided to drive down here. I do that at least once a year. Some of the back roads are kind of nice. And when I got to West Lafayette, the entire downtown by State Street is completely ripped up. And there's not really any, it looked like, at least from the direction I was going in, decent detour signs. So I kind of had to use my own internal navigation. Not that navigation, I didn't actually use that. Which, for people who know me, is very subpar. I miss that. I'm missing that male gene for navigation. And try to find a way to get back to State Street because, ferret or whatever, that squirrel. Because I didn't want to take I-65 back. I wanted to take 41 back. And it was tough. A lot of the side roads would turn up, and there was no clear indication of when it ended. I actually ended up in a part of the Purdue campus that I only think I've been to once. But since I kind of knew where I was, you know, I lived down there for a while, I was able to figure it out. But anyway, so now we're back on lovely State Route 26, which that way goes into Purdue. But this way it's just a one-lane state route. Speed limit's around 50 miles an hour. It's not that bad. I mean, there's not any really twisty things, but it's kind of a nice, little bit scenic. Not southeastern United States scenic, but for Indiana, it's not bad. So what I wanted to talk about in this YouTube video is different types of motorcycles and what my opinion and what the constant beef between sport bike riders and cruiser/touring riders are. Now, what I'd like to say first is that the whole argument that people have, which is better, sport bike or touring bike, is probably one of the dumbest arguments that exists in the motorcycle world. And I say that because just because it is on two wheels does not mean every vehicle should be held to the same standard and measured the same. You don't go, when people are looking to buy a new car, you know, they don't sit there and say, well, I either want a Camaro, a Mustang, or a Chrysler 300, or a Chrysler Pacifica. Because anyone who knows anything about cars would look at that person and say, why are you choosing between a muscle car and a minivan and a sedan? It doesn't make any sense. So, sport bikes and tour or cruising bikes meet entirely different needs. And if you're looking for a sport bike, you want something that's got a lot of horsepower. You know, you can rev it to 10, 15,000 RPMs. You can take it on twisties and, you know, fly through those and you want to go really fast. And there's nothing, hello, Moto. There's nothing wrong with that. That's a very, viable wish list, and that's a fun way to ride motorcycles. And you go out and you buy a sport bike, and you can do that for as long as you want and have a ton of fun at it. If you're in the market for a touring or cruiser bike, you more want to do what I do, which is I want to ride today, 300 or 400 miles, be on my bike for 8 or 9 hours, see some nice scenery, maybe go through some gentle turns and whatnot, and ride in comfort, and and enjoy the long term or the long distance riding. That's what a touring bike is for. A cruiser kind of falls into that a little bit, but cruisers aren't as comfortable as a touring bike. They're also usually a little bit more maneuverable, but in essence, those are the big differences. So I mean, I've taken this bike on really twisty roads, and it handles it okay, but it's not like whipping this bike around, which wet is close to around 900 pounds. It's not like it's that fun after 2 or 3 hours being on this thing, whipping it through twisties. It's not really made for that. You can do it, but it's really not made for that. Just like you can ride 600 miles in one shot on a sport bike, but it's not exactly optimal. I mean, your rear end's gonna hurt, your back's gonna hurt, your legs are gonna hurt. By 3 or 4 hours in, you're not exactly gonna be having a grandiose time doing it. You can do it, but that's really not what your bike's built for. So I don't understand why everyone gets a bug up their ass about different types of motorcycles, because they're made for different things. So basically, that's my take on it. I think you should ride whatever you want to ride. I definitely think that you should, when you're choosing to buy a motorcycle, you should buy the motorcycle that meets what you want to do. I mean, you shouldn't buy a Harley Ultra Limited if you plan on spending every other weekend in Tail of the Dragon. That's just not what that bike is for. I also don't think you should be considering buying a Ducati if you plan on riding 500 miles in one shot on a Saturday. But as long as you pick the bike, genre that or style that meets what you want to do on a bike, you should ride what you want. I guess in the best world, buy two. Buy a touring bike and then buy a sport bike, if you can afford it. So that's my take on that. I'm not going to bring it up again. It's just I always see YouTube videos where people talk about, oh, you're not a real biker unless you ride a Harley, or, I'm a real motorcycle rider, so, I'm not going to ride some big, slow Harley Davidson. Both those points are pretty stupid. So if you hear someone saying that, call them stupid. And be like, you don't know what you're talking about. So this right here is what the majority of the northern half of Indiana looks like. It's flat, it's farmland, not a lot of cars on it. So I mean, if you just like to get out on the road and lose yourself in riding, this is awesome. But if you're looking for something beautiful to see, unless you really like looking at corns and soybeans, you're going to be a little disappointed. I usually end up finding little places to ride, that are off the beaten path. You can find them in my area, but usually you have to, ride a couple hours to get there. And then even though those spots are fun, there is a little bit of letdown in the fact that, none of them are like an hour-long ride through something spectacular. Usually it's like a half hour. Indiana and Illinois. It's very ugly, very flat farmland. I guess the only good thing is if you grew up where you always had to go through windy roads, you may like this. You may like the fact that you can basically go straight for long periods of time. And you may like that the roads are flat. I don't know. It seems to me the grass is always greener on the other side. And I have heard people who just, when they come up here, they're like, oh my God, your roads are so nice. You don't have to turn every 5 minutes, every 5 seconds, and they're nice and flat and straight. And I look at them like they're smoking meth. And I was just thinking that as I'm running through here, there's no cars in front of me, no cars behind me. I eventually gathered that if my bike broke down, I'd be pretty screwed. Well, there are occasionally houses, but I'd probably be pretty screwed. There's a Harley-Davidson dealership not too far from here. The back roads where there's no one around, safer. Until a deer comes running out here and I freaking get creamed. So I'm a little squiddish today. And I got my t-shirt on. I do have gloves, a helmet, and jeans and boots, but I don't have a jacket on. I thought about wearing a jacket today, but I mean it's in the 90s, and I really didn't feel like sweating that much. I mean, I have some riding jackets that have like zippers and stuff and let airflow in there, but still, I mean, it is a jacket. No matter how light they make it, you're still in the jacket. I think this is going to be the end of my video. I was going to take this all the way to 41 before I shut it off, but this is pretty much all you're going to see until you get on 41, and then you're just not going to see farms. You're just going to see a two-lane road with nothing to look at. So, I think I'm going to sign